Let's go.
Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about James Gunn's Superman movie coming out in 2025 and kicking off the start of the DCU franchise. So there has been a lot of ups and downs with DC and Warner Brothers for the past decade, right? And there was problems even before 2013 as well, but we're going to start at 2013 because that's a lot of more recent and a lot of people's memories for DC live action movies, and then we'll go from that point all the way to where we'll be at now. So in 2013, we got Man of Steel, which was directed by Zack Snyder and starring Henry Cavill. And that movie did okay at the worldwide box office, but I actually didn't like that movie that much at all. I was not a huge fan of Henry Cavill's Superman performance. I thought it was very bland and uninspiring and just not good at all. I didn't like Amy Adams as Lois Lane. They had no chemistry between Amy Adams and Henry Cavill. Zack Snyder just got Superman's tone and feel and morals all off. Michael Shannon as General Zod was really, really good. Back in the day, I didn't even like it, but it's crazy. I actually really liked his performance as General Zod over the many years. I thought he really, really nailed General Zod, actually. And the action in Man of Steel was pretty good overall. But outside of Michael Shannon as General Zod and the action in the movie, I don't like it that much. But it made enough at the worldwide box office that Warner Brothers ended up making a follow-up movie, which, as you guys know, was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. And given what the movie actually made at the box office, because a lot of people only point that out, keep in mind, this movie had around, they said, almost $150 million marketing budget, and the actual film budget was around like $300 million. So this movie had to make basically $1 billion plus at the worldwide box office. It didn't even make $1 billion with Batman and Superman in the same movie. Warner Brothers basically wanted what they had made with the Barbie movie back in 2013. They wanted that for their biggest characters that they own in DC. So Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice bombed at the box office for how much money they actually spent on the movie, despite what people even say. That movie flopped, if you actually look at the numbers, and that movie was just a steaming pile of shit. Like, that movie sucks. The movie sucks so much ass. There's a few good scenes in there, and there's some things I liked in there, like with Man of Steel, but overall, I didn't like it. Movie sunk. Then, in the same year, 2016, you got the Suicide Squad movie that was not really David Ayer's version. They kind of basically hired a trailer company to kind of chop it up and make it look like Guardians of the Galaxy, because the criticism of the DC movies was that they were all like really depressing, and in reality, a lot of people don't understand this with the DC characters. Some characters are more serious and depressing than others, but there's some that have a joyous life to them. And obviously, what I mentioned earlier with Zack Snyder not really understanding who Superman is, and you got that in this movie, that's not Superman. But they wanted like that Batman tone for like all their movies, and it's like, that's not a thing. Batman's tone cannot be for every character. Every character has their own different style and feel when you actually understand who they are. So then, even though Suicide Squad made a lot of money at the box office, its reception was terrible. Keep in mind, a lot of these movies, despite them actually making a lot of money at the box office, the reception amongst people was abysmal. Then we got Wonder Woman, which came out in 2017. That was directed by Patty Jenkins. I actually liked that movie. I only disagreed with the villain of the movie, and not as far as the villain choice, it was the actor and the way they portrayed that villain. Because I think there was an animated movie that actually portrayed that character actually a whole lot better, honestly. But that was the first like positive, well-received DC movie at the time, which is crazy. And that movie was not even in their current universe timeline. It was a movie that was actually based in the past, right? So then after that, you get Justice League, which also came out in 2017, which was originally directed by Zack Snyder for that theatrical cut, but then he had tragically lost his adopted daughter. She passed away. he took some time off. They inadvertently fired him and brought in Joss Whedon and reshoots, and you guys know the whole fiasco, right? And Justice League had a massive budget around it, came out and also bombed at the worldwide box office. And then after that, because Warner Brothers was also owned by AT&T at that current moment in time, Joss Whedon did ask for more time to work on the movie. They wanted to push it out because the executives wanted their Christmas bonuses at the time before they got taken over in 2018 by AT&T. They were actually owned by someone else at that current moment in time. Yeah, keep in mind, a cell phone company actually ran Warner Brothers, right? Well, then after Justice League bombed at the box office, we got Aquaman, which actually is the highest grossing film of the DCEU. Aquaman, the guy who talks to fish, and that movie was directed by James Wan, made $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Factor that in. Aquaman beat out Superman Solo, Batman and Superman team up, Wonder Woman, and Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad also had Harley Quinn and Joker in it as well, right? So after 2018, we ended up getting Shazam, which kind of started this, because basically Justice League started this as well. These movies were already not doing well at the box office for how much money Warner Brothers was actually investing into them. Shazam didn't do that well at the box office. I like Shazam. I think Shazam was my favorite DCEU movie, but it did not do well at the box office, and I really don't know why they made a sequel to it, honestly. It didn't even make that much money to begin with, right? So after that, we ended up getting Wonder Woman. We got Birds of Prey first, and that bombed at the box office. Like, no one cared for that. Then we got Wonder Woman 1984, and also around this time, you had the big internet craze that was released the Snyder Cut, and then later on, in 2021, we got the release of Snyder Cut. But obviously, that's not in theaters, so that doesn't count. And would that movie have made $1 billion, like crazy fans say? Probably not, to be honest here. But who knows, right? So around this time period, Warner Brothers also gets taken over, and they end up merging with Discovery. So AT&T sells off Warner Brothers and sells it to the Discovery Channel. Yeah, the Discovery Channel now owns Warner Brothers. You know the channel that has like a bunch of food and like Shark Week? Yeah, they own Warner Brothers now. And the current leader is David Zaslav, and the two underlings are Pamela Abby and Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abby. There you go, right? So in 2022, we got Black Adam, and that movie, as we'll get on in a little bit here, Black Adam also failed at the box office. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the biggest movie star in the world, cannot make $400 million at the worldwide box office. DC's live action movie reception is so bad that I will show you this in a moment. The numbers they are making are bad. So coming up with this movie that James Gunn is doing, which is Superman, in 2025, this movie not only just needs to be a financial hit. Obviously, that's the main thing these guys care about. But it also has to be well received by a good majority of people. So around the time period of 2020, late 2022, early 2023, Warner Brothers, early 6 years ago, it was rumored that they actually wanted to have a Kevin Feige leader type for DC. And it was kind of an open secret. There was a lot of names thrown out there. Even the guy that currently is leading like Netflix right now for their movie department, he was actually a guy in the running. And then later on, we ended up getting James Gunn, the guy that directed the Guardians movies for Marvel. He ended up directing the Suicide Squad movie. He ended up obviously doing Peacemaker. Like, I told people this before. I like Guardians 1. I think Guardians 2 is weaker, but I still enjoy it, right? And I loved his Suicide Squad movie. That was freaking awesome. And then obviously I enjoyed Peacemaker season 1. So I've enjoyed a lot of the things he's done. And it's really crazy that a lot of people think that he can't do a Superman movie, despite a lot of people saying they like a lot of what he's done. That makes no sense, right? So obviously in 2021, the reason why I didn't really mention his Suicide Squad movie is because Warner Brothers did that thing of like day and date release, right? So his movie basically was already shot in its foot ever coming out. People just weren't going to go to the theaters because of that virus thing, and they chose to stay at home. Also, the reception from the previous Suicide Squad movie was not good at all, so nobody was really checking for a sequel to that movie. And let's be honest here, the Suicide Squad is not that popular. Also, let's be honest here, the reason why that movie also failed is because a lot of the stars that people liked in that movie didn't choose to reprise their roles. Movies that Will Smith are a part of that he doesn't choose to be in sequels generally don't do very well, right? So we're at this point now where James Gunn basically says, hey, we're going to do our own new cinematic universe. Everything else is basically non-canon, right? So the movies from 2013 all the way until the end of 2023 are now non-canon. And keep in mind, movies like The Flash, movies like Aquaman were pushed back, obviously, probably because they were having a lot of issues behind the scenes with both these movies as well, right? So then that right there was the final nail in the coffin, because people were like, well, why am I going into to watch these movies if there's not going to be anything follow-upping them, right? Now keep in mind, I don't agree with that either. I think you should go to a movie not hoping there's going to be a sequel, because you should just enjoy the movie that you have and talk about it, right? And obviously discuss it amongst yourself. But keep in mind, getting a sequel is always a coin toss, right? So James Gunn had said they're going to be combining basically the video games, animation, TV, and movies are going to be all one shared universe. And my big problem with the DCU before was that it was just a jumbled mess. None of it really worked. A lot of the movies were really, really bad. I really only liked 3 of them. If you made me choose like more, I'd be basically picking out of the garbage bin. Like my favorites were Shazam, Suicide Squad, 2, and Wonder Woman. That's it, right? So then I want to show you guys the movie numbers here in just a moment here, but this is the first poster for James Gunn Superman. I like the poster. I like it a lot. I think it's even better than the Man of Steel posters that we got. The only Man of Steel poster I even enjoyed was like the one where he was flying like this. The other ones looked really, really bad. And we're supposed to be getting a trailer for James Gunn's Superman movie this week, actually. So that's going to be very, very big. And that trailer also has to look and feel good for Superman fans out there and people that like DC, because it will give them hope that this is going to be different than before. Now, I can see why a lot of people are jaded, honestly, but keep in mind, James Gunn is in a different, I'll say this, the leadership that brought you the DCEU before isn't there. Now, that's not to say that it won't be good. That's not to say there won't be any problems, right? But this is technically a different Warner Brothers than before, right? And I like the poster. I think it looks very, very good. And I actually like the Superman suit. The S is the Kingdom Come S. And people said they're kind of leaning towards doing a Kingdom Come movie. That's not... I mean, okay, I'll just be honest here. If you think they're doing a Kingdom Come movie, you're fucking stupid. That makes no sense to do right now. And that is way, way, way far down the road, honestly. It's, I think, just an S that looks like the Kingdom Come S. That's all I think of personally. So let's look at the movies they put out from 2022 till now. And I will count another one to angle my point in. Black Adam didn't even make $400 million at the worldwide box office. Completely just bombed, honestly. Keep in mind, the reason why I'm saying bomb for these movies, the most recent ones, is because of the budgets and the marketing budgets attached to them, right? Shazam! Fury of the Gods was moved basically to 2022, but then they also pushed it back because they didn't want to have it compete with Avatar 2. And keep in mind, now that we know what happened, yeah, this movie would have gotten obliterated by Avatar 2. Shazam 2, $134 million, bomb. And I think the sequel is way, 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 way worse than the first one. The Flash, which is arguably one of the biggest dumpster fires for a superhero movie, $271 million, complete fail. Blue Beetle, which is the lowest grossing DCEU movie, complete fail, obviously. Aquaman 2, which had just a whole shitload of reshoots, delays, budget ballooned, I'd imagine, only basically made like less than half of what the first one made. And keep in mind, these two right here, The Flash and Aquaman 2 basically have like the controversies of Ezra Miller and like Johnny Depp's ex, Amber Heard, right? But I don't think that really matters, honestly. DC movies were lacking in good word of mouth for a long time. So these movies not doing well is not surprising, but it's a consistency thing, right? Then you have Joker Folie à Deux, right? Which just came out this year in 2024. Now, I will say this. I know it's not connected to the DCEU that they were doing before. I understand this. But this movie is the last DC live action impression for people that went and watched it. The first one made $1 billion at the box office. I thought it was actually not that bad. I overall enjoyed it. Not everything they did in the movie, but I enjoyed it. But look at this. $206 million at the worldwide box office. This completely flopped. It flopped so hard, they put it on their streaming service. Max. In 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, probably. Complete fail. And the reason why this matters, as I said earlier, is because this is the last thing in people's minds and the last taste in their mouths for DC. And there was a lot of controversy that surrounded this movie as well. And then we are finally getting to this next thing I'll talk about in the video, which is James Gunn. He had an interview with The Wrap talking about, basically why, I think there's other interviews too where he, why he called it Superman. Because originally the movie was called Superman Legacy, and he just took it away and just called it Superman. I think there has never been a Superman movie called just Superman, which is fine. I think it should start with Superman. He's the first superhero. I think, in my opinion, he's severely treated badly by a lot of people, but also super underrated as well. I love Superman. He's one of my top 5 superheroes of all time. I love Clark Kent. I think what the movie needs to do is the movie actually basically needs to be a combination of Smallville and Superman and Lois. I think Tyler Hoechlin is one of my favorite live action interpretations of Superman. I think it was way better than Henry Cavill. I think it was better than obviously Brandon Routh. He's basically neck and neck for me with Christopher Reeves as well. I really, really loved their portrayals of Superman, right? So the thing here that people have brought up is that this movie is introducing too many characters. And that is the same criticism that they gave Zack Snyder for introducing too many characters. Now, keep in mind, there hasn't been too many movies that have introduced many characters that have actually done well, as far as they've been good movies, right? It really just depends how they're utilized. Zack Snyder just did not know how to utilize those characters when he had the bigger cast. Can James Gunn utilize these other characters he's introducing to open, basically, as he calls it, the wider world of DC? Because this movie's supposed to be kind of like Superman with no origin story, already Superman, so you only go through that. And he's just kind of entering into this bigger world as he kind of finds it out. Now, he's going to have Mr. Terrific in the movie, I think Hawk Girl and all that shit, right? It just boils down to, what are they being utilized for? Are they assets to him? Are they kind of at odds with him with how to deal with criminals and how to save people? It really just depends on the utilization of said characters. That's really all that matters, right? A lot of directors can't handle that many characters. That's why you see certain characters only dealing with a certain amount of people in their movies, right? James Gunn's Superman takes flight. No universe building, Top Gun style action, and why the Trunks won out. Never got the arguments with the whole Trunks thing. I just think you should keep them. I mean, if you don't have them, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You can be no Trunks or non-Trunks. I could care less, honestly. With just days to go before the worldwide launch of the first teaser trailer, The Wrap visited the Cleveland set of Superman this past June, where director James Gunn was battling the elements to bring his vision of DC's Boy Scout to life. Between takes, Gunn sat with a bunch of reporters and revealed his approach to the Man of Steel, one that focuses solely on Superman's story without getting bogged down in larger universe building. He says, 0. Gunn emphatically stated, when asked how much of the movie is dedicated to setting up other characters or future DC projects. I mean, maybe 2 little things, 2 moments, but basically if something's there just to set up something else, fuck it. For Gunn, this philosophy extends beyond just this film. Everything needs to stand by itself. Yes, yeah. You don't want to kind of fall into the trap that the MCU has currently fallen into, where it's like, hey, this movie's only kind of here to set up this. You want movies to kind of stand on their own, even if they are connected, right? I don't want somebody to go have to see this movie and be relying on anything else, Gunn said. If this sets up stuff in Peacemaker, which it does, then that's great. But that is never, ever, ever with me going to be something that I'm going to sacrifice even a moment or a beat in a story for, especially a movie. Gunn added, with TV, you've got a little bit more leniency to be able to do that, but in a movie, every beat has to be in there for the movie itself. And as you guys see right here, the Superman trailer is going to be dropping on Thursday, which I'm very excited about, and I'll be definitely doing a trailer reaction on. The film starts with Superman already established in his world. Keep in mind, I mentioned earlier, no origin story, with existing relationships between Lois Lane and Lex Luthor. We just start in the middle of the action, Gunn said. Superman's already existing. Lois and Clark already know each other. Lex hates Superman's guts from the beginning, although they don't know each other personally. Gunn's vision for the film draws from various influences while maintaining its own identity. All previous DC media influenced me, Gunn said. I think that obviously the original Donner movie influenced me, but there's also a lot of things that this isn't. Like, I'm not just making a Donner type movie. It's very different from that. Gunn specifically cited All-Star Superman, which is, you guys can go currently get that right now. I'd imagine at the end of the trailer, because James Gunn did this with, when he first announced what he's going to be doing with the DCU, he also announced the comic books that the movies were based on, and then they ended up also selling out very well on Amazon, right? So Also Superman is a graphic novel of just 13 issues, and you can buy that basically in trade paperback. You can buy that in hardcover. You can buy that in Absolute. You can also buy that in the DC Compacts comics, which is basically this. I'll show you guys this right now really quickly. This is Also Superman. And this is only $10. Because people are like, I don't got that much money to spend on comic books. Don't worry. I got you. DC Comics. Oh my god. Right here. The DC Compacts Comics Edition. Right here. Only $10. You could probably even find it at your local Walmart for like $8, honestly. This is what the movie's based on, so I go check out that. Really, really good story, actually, from the stuff I've read about it. But I gotta go do a full review on that soon. As a major comic book influence, noting its Silver Age feel and science fiction approach. For action sequences, particularly the aerial scenes, Gunn and his team are taking inspiration from Top Gun Maverick, using drones to capture Superman's flight scenes. We shoot a lot of our action with actual drones flying in and around Superman and the people that he's flying with, engineer, whoever else that he's fighting up in the air. Gunn said, we got these really small crazy drones now. We've got some of the best flyers in the world here who are working with it. The tone of this film sets it apart from Gunn's previous superhero outings. It's humorous, but it's really not as comic or as much a comedy either as Suicide Squad or Guardians, Gunn said. There's plenty of humor in it. People like Rachel are so funny, and people like Rachel are so funny, and David is very funny as well. So there's humor in it. But it's trying to create something that is grounded, but also it's an incredibly fanciful world. It's fantasy. It's taking from other things like Game of Thrones, where it's this universe where superheroes actually exist. Yeah, I think the whole grounded in reality thing is just so stupid because, first of all, superheroes aren't real, so you can't really ground them in reality. Second of all, the other thing that people talk about for James Gunn and criticized him was the fact that he is only known for humor, and it's like, if you actually, people watch his superhero movies, there's moments in there where they're not humorous and they're pretty decently serious. And if you look at the Suicide Squad, yeah, there was mostly a lot of humor there, but there are certain serious moments that were really, really good. This notion he can only do humor is pretty odd, even though the fact that he made a lot of people really care about certain characters, and that would come from not being able to just do humor. I believe he can do the other thing. As Peacemaker Season 1 showed, he can't just only do humor, right? Also, people need to understand, not every character is like Batman. Superman as a character interacts with people that can have humorous elements to him. Batman's a more serious character. We know that. So humor has to be kind of well-timed, right? And meaningful into what's going on. Superman does not have to have that because that's not a serious character, quote unquote. He's definitely a lot more different than that. One of the most debated aspects of the production was Superman's DCU costume, specifically whether to include the classic trunks. Gunn, who was on the no trunks team for a long time, changed his mind after conversation with star Cornsweet. He says, David said something to me that really affected me. Gunn said, Superman wants kids to not be afraid of him. He's an alien. He's this incredibly powerful, could be considered scary individual, and wants people to like him. He wants to be a symbol of hope and positivity, which is what Superman is. So he dresses like a professional wrestler. He dresses in a way that makes people afraid of him. That shows that. The film's score, composed by John Murphy, will include nods to John Williams' classic Superman theme while creating something new. It's not a soundtrack, so it's not about the songs, Gunn noted. It's much, much more of a score film. Gunn also opened up about the initial casting process and how he found both of his leads, both Cornsweet and Brosnan's audition tapes arrived on the first day. I saw both of those and I went, oh my god, we're going to be okay, Gunn said. Their chemistry tested, proved decisive. We had this 15-minute long scene that they have to act together and talk and discuss and just communicate, and I mixed and matched all the different couples, and it was simple magic when the two of them came up. Yeah, Lois and Clark having good synergy is a really big thing as a element for Clark's life. Gunn also noted that the film explores a unique take on the Clark Kent/Superman dynamic. People said all sorts of different things. They say Clark's the real one, they said Superman's the real one, and Clark's the secret identity. But I don't believe either of those things, Gunn said. I don't think anybody knows Superman unless they know both of him. And when they know both of him, they know the real guy. And that means not too many people. The film underwent some changes during production, including moving away from its original legacy title following a pre-mortem meeting where department heads discuss potential issues before filming begins. He says, James Gunn said this, "I thought maybe the title was they had a looking back feeling about it. And this isn't about looking back. This is about looking forward," Gunn said. Superman opens in theaters on July 11th, 2025. So, yeah, I really digged a lot of what James Gunn is saying here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think he's going to pull off a good Superman movie. I really think that. I've read a lot of his interviews talking about the movie and his direction for DC. Obviously, I don't agree with everything he's done. Obviously, picking like Tom King, someone who's been very divisive amongst the comic book community, Christina Hodson, not potentially the best ideas for creative leads on the DCU board, right? I don't like that there's no real aspect of focus on Wonder Woman, right? I don't like his choice for a director in the Batman film coming up. And some of the early movie choices, I wouldn't do them. But if we're talking about just this movie, because all that matters is this movie right here. If this is a hit, things can go very good. But if it's not a hit, that's going to be a problem, because people would probably call this like DC's last attempt at trying to get a cinematic universe going. And it's not even just to compete with the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this current moment in time. People factor in, people aren't even really checking for DC movies like that, given the recent box office disasters that I've shown you guys. So, are you guys excited for James Gunn's Superman movie? What did you think about the first poster right here? I thought it looked really good, and I can't wait to watch this movie. And I hope, which they've been doing at the other DC movie trailers outside of like Joker 2, they put comic books that people can basically go to their local comic book store and get these books, whether they be single back issues or trades currently or whatever. Go and read some Superman comics, and if you need some recommendations, you know where to get them from your boy. So, thank you guys. Oh, before we go, with this universe, if this movie is a hit, what they need to do is take it slow. Don't just like rush everything, because as you guys have seen, a lot of the movies James Gunn talked about coming out and plan to come out, a lot of them have no release dates yet, because they are kind of seeing what the direction is gonna be when this movie drops in 2025. So, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're gonna be signing out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.